Alright, let's see. Okay. Apologies for the little delay there. Just had to sort something out there initially. But yep, welcome back to another live stream for Fortnite in particular. This time, I'm kind of going for the theme here for this session because I kind of like to maybe try some streams based on certain things that came out within the game at the moment. And funny enough, we got like three things to go through, which makes this kind of a longer stream probably in comparison to the first one. Um, the first thing we got is Toy Story 5 came out in theaters now. It's now available in theaters now across, worldwide. Gives us another Toy Story movie after well, if you don't count Lightyear, which I think a lot of us don't really want to count Lightyear as a thing. Um, since it's been like what, 7 years since we had a last Toy Story movie, mainline story, a Toy Story movie anyway. Now we got a newest one out, which I did see yesterday. I did watch Toy Story 5 yesterday. Um, I really liked the film, to be honest. I really did like Toy Story 5 a lot. I'd say it's a lot better than Toy Story 4. Um, but I wouldn't say it's bad. I wouldn't say it's as good as the first three. Like, and that's always been a thing with Toy Story as a franchise. Like those three initial films in the Toy Story series have always been like considered in high regard. And I can't entirely blame them, to be honest. I really do like the first three Toy Story movies. Um, if I had to rank the Toy Story films, I think go like from the best. My favorite one, actually, like the least favorite, obviously would be Lightyear. Lightyear would obviously be the weakest film in the Toy Story series. Um, but Toy Story 4 would be next. But even I wouldn't even say I hate Toy Story 4 either. Like I would generally, I would like Toy Story 4, and I'm doing good. I'm just it just took a bit to get myself ready at the moment, just because of some other stuff I had to do. It's just kind of why this live stream kind of took a little longer to get itself set up. But I'm doing good. Yeah, Toy Story 5, Toy Story 4, I would say is like, I still say it's a good movie. I still say Toy Story 4 is a generally good movie on its own, but it's just, again, the weakest mainline film in the series. I don't know, it's always kind of hard because the first Toy Story I like, obviously, but it has aged at certain aspects because of the technology, compared to where we are nowadays. But there is like a certain charm to the Toy Story movies that makes it worth watching, like especially with the memes. That the memes that have come from that movie alone is insane, with Buzz and Woody in it. Um, Toy Story 2, I don't know, it's always been a tie. Like, it always depends on my mood. If I'm like, oh yeah, I like Toy Story 3 the most, or if I like Toy Story 2 the most. It's always a hard like selling point to say which of the number 2 or 3 is the best one in the whole lineup of Toy Story. Um, to be frankly honest. So it's just kind of like one of those things that really is on that really depends on the mood. But still, Toy Story 5 is out anyway, and I've heard mixed things from people about Toy Story 5, and I'm like, I kind of don't see it, to be honest. I actually really do. Yeah, I mainly do play with friends in particular on Fortnite. But I do some solo plays as well. Like as of right now, I'm just going to do a solo play right now. Um, but yeah, it's really like really comes down to my friends. I do play with Fortnite, so either in real life or the online. aspect with the out of context Simpsons couch gag or my various amount of social media accounts over the past like 10 or so years. It's kind of hard to tell how long I've been how long I've been on social media for it this way. But yeah, maybe some friends might pop up on the stream later down the line, but at the moment it's just currently me. And with the course, the main gimmick of this video is mainly I'm playing through as Toy Story, Amazing Digital Circus, and Rambo team skins. Comparison to yesterday with the Homer Simpson and the little bit of Skeletor I had going on in the last live stream I did. Well, I'm planning to do another live stream on Tuesday, particularly, with Sonic Mission Crossworld to celebrate the 35th anniversary of Sonic the Hedgehog. If ever is Cake the Cat? Yeah, I can see it. Oh no. I only just now realized this. Oh, Montgomery Strikes. Oh crap. I didn't even realize that this is a thing that the game had going on right now. Yeah, my main favorite skin is of course Homer Simpson. For like obvious reasons. Oh no. I forgot there's a power hour. Crap. Well, this is gonna get chaotic real fast. Don't worry though. I'm sure Buzz Lightyear of Star Command will sort this one out. Hopefully. Hopefully he can. So yeah, meaning is, I'm just going to play through some rounds, here and there of Fortnite, Zero build and all that stuff, just as, like, Buzz Lightyear, Zurg, Pomni, Jax, and, Rambo. Again, this one being more for the release of Toy Story 5, which, again, I'd still say you should go watch. Like, I'd say Toy Story 5 is generally a good movie. I still say Pixar still has it when it comes to the quality of the Toy Story franchise. Like, I know people always give them a little bit of flack for making these sequels in the first place. And the Fire Sprite just said, I don't want to do that. I want to die. But I don't know. I always have trust with Pixar with their movies and in terms of their approach with sequels. Like, the only movie series I'd say that might have a bit more of an iffy track record with their in terms of sequels with them is Cars. And even then, like, when you say what's a bad Pixar movie, it's like at most like maybe a 5 out of 10 or maybe a 4 at most. It's not like, say, other studios like Warner Brothers or Paramount or Illumination, where some of their sequels can be pretty bad. Pixar just kind of gets some weak sequels at most. And that's kind of really the worst that they really have going for them in terms of their sequel counts. Yeah, it's true. I mean, is this weird thing with Pixar where after doing all these film lists reviews, funny enough, the burnt peanut, I just randomly come across the burnt peanut once, during somebody got killed here, I guess, or someone's hiding. I don't know, someone must have came here, they got killed. Just weird. Yeah, no, the burnt peanut didn't, like, require much for me. Like, I only found the burnt peanut randomly at one point, but when I did, I was like, oh, there's that peanut. I didn't want to pick it up, but, I had no other choice. I had to fill this collection somehow. But, yeah, back on topic, yeah. Pixar has been through this weird thing with me with the history, with my films or videos, where the quality of the films is there. There's always the quality. Like, if anything, it's kind of impressive to think that the only real film from Pixar I generally disliked during out this decade is just with Lightyear. Lightyear is the only film of theirs I would say I dislike from this decade. Everything else from the originals, like with Hopper, Luca, Turning Red, Soul, all those films, I really liked. And then the sequels, like I said, Toy Story 5, Inside Out 2, all of those are really good movies too. Which makes me hopeful that for the next bunch of sequels, like The Incredibles 3, definitely Coco 2, I'm hoping to be good because out of all of them, Coco 2 to me is the odd one out when it comes to the Pixar franchises that can get a sequel. Because at least with Toy Story, Monsters Inc., Incredibles, even Cars, I can understand why they would get sequels, like how to expand on the worlds of the franchises, or at least like expand on certain elements from the films. Whereas Coco, to be frankly honest with you, I don't really see how you can expand on that in comparison to all the other Pixar franchises. Oh, there's one of the good parts. Yeah, but oh crap! But I don't get why they have to do this weird thing lately, where they have to get rid of the the portable extractors. Like you have to go and extract it another, like the main way, which is usually how the sweats usually come in and kick your ass. But yeah, Coco 2 is just one of those ideas I don't really see how it could work. But if it was done by anyone else, I would have been more worried about it. Whereas Pixar, I'm hopeful that they can make it work in some form of way. Because outside of some of the, like I said, some of the Cars movies and Lightyear, they have really yet to really disappoint me in comparison to, say, Disney does with their sequels to popular film franchises. So I'm hopeful that Coco 2 works, but I'm still looking forward to all the originals whenever they come out. Like with that, blanking on the name at the moment of what it's called, the most recent one that has the thing about the talking, that has like the cat, the animals on it. I'm blanking on the name of it. But I'm looking forward to that one at least. Gato, that's what it was, yeah, Gato, that's the name of it. Again, I'm looking forward to that too. Especially with the art style looking very different in comparison to Pixar's normal animation style, which has always been a thing. I know people have always talked shit about Pixar in terms of their art style lately, in comparison to films like Spider-Verse lately. But I always feel like Pixar know what they're doing. Like, Pixar's been around for a long time, and they still keep a good momentum going with their movies in terms of output and, quality. Like, Pixar, like, just recently, Toy Story 5 just made, like, $71 million in the box office already, out of a budget of $250 million. So we've already seen Toy Story 5 having a good start in the box office already within its opening day. So it's only a matter of time until, the film will gross even further beyond that. So, the only thing that we want, the only real major thing about it is, well, how long can they keep going with Toy Story as a brand? Or in terms of movies. Yeah, because there was a whole thing about Fortnite's thing with Toy Story where it seemed like back in Season 2 or Chapter 7 we would have gotten not only Buzz and Zurg, but we also would have gotten Woody as a part of the collab stuff, and it would have made sense, like, too, given how Buzz and Woody did act like rivals towards Toy Story 1 and still have a few moments here and there where they butt heads. But, it's one of those cases I can understand why Disney or Fortnite made the decision to not go true with Woody and decide to just keep it to Buzz and Zurg, because obviously, in terms of the Toy Story universe and the, respective, universe, that, Zurg is Buzz Lightyear's arch nemesis, and for a whole season themed off rivalries, it only makes sense to focus on giving it to Zurg and Buzz instead for the theme. I don't think. Oh, I think Buddy might be asleep. I don't know it. Oh, that's why. He's like, I think Bro might be asleep. I'm right here. But yeah, I'm hopeful that, like, I thought initially, like, I thought with Toy Story 5 coming out now anyway, I thought they would have included something from Toy Story 5, like, you know, we would have gone, like Woody and Jessie equally as skins to fit with Toy Story 5. Yep, this is Buzz Lightyear. Buzz Lightyear of Star Command! Buzz Lightyear of Star Command! Come in, Star Command. I wish they, like, I know there was a reason for it, but I'm still here, like, man, I wish that Buzz Lightyear Star Command TV show dropped on Disney Plus, because from what I've seen of, like, the movie and clips of it on social media, it looks like a funny show, especially thanks to Zurg with, you know, his voice actor Wayne White providing his voice. Yeah, it's good. It's there we go. At least I got now 2 gummy sprints now. Thanks for that. Sorry, Batman. I'm not you out for blood. Whoa! I think we need to see what back for that. Yeah, Buzz Lightyear. Yeah, Buzz Lightyear has a reactive, you know, elements where he can glow in the dark. So, you know, much like in the movies, you know, with the accessories of Buzz Lightyear as a toy. So yeah, it's a cool feature. But I know there's the whole thing that John Lasseter hated where Buzz Lightyear Star Command went. Ooh, Buzz, slow down there. Oh, break through this house. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like Buzz Lightyear Star Command, especially nowadays when you have people like, you have to acknowledge the video game of Buzz Lightyear, and people go like, "Oh my God, Disney acknowledged the show after like how many years?" It's like, you know, there's a strong like fandom for Buzz Lightyear and Star Command, and it's petty. It's weird how you have one person who's nowadays not even a good person anymore because of what they've done in real life to people, be so judgmental over like how they approached that particular series. So I'm hoping, like, when you have that, what was that show, The Weekenders, or whatever, that Disney animated show, like, I never watched it, but I know there's like another Disney Channel animated show recently added to the server. Like, we should be getting more Disney Channel animated programs on Disney Plus now, and Buzz Lightyear Star Command should definitely be one of them. But yeah, like House of Mouse. House of Mouse is like, that's one show, like, I actually want to go back to that point when you could have like that time when Mickey Mouse wasn't used as the face of the company and used as like an actual character of the brand, because like I liked Mickey Mouse as a character. I just wish they would have just done a little bit more with him that showed that he's not just a mascot. Because I think that's always been the problem with Mickey Mouse. I know you're here because I'm a bit busy. I'm trying to survive getting shot at and talk about Disney here. Remember, I'm still like, hey, yeah, listen, buddy, I don't care about your AI viewers and your, you know, your cringe, like, thing of getting views and shit. I never cared about that, so fuck off, as far as I'm concerned about your little AI watchers. I'm just here for fun. I don't give a shit. If anything, I wish I had mods properly to do that shit, but, ah, well. But yeah, I don't know. I don't just there's always a lot of Disney's animated work at the time, like The House of Mouse or Buzz Lightyear Star Command and all that stuff that I generally want to watch, but I want to watch it legally. That's always been the problem, is that a lot of it, like the only real ways you can really watch some of these shows is through illegal means, and the fact that not every single person is going to be down with the idea of having to rely on, like, illegal streaming platforms to watch certain, material. Like, it would be easier just to say, here, we have, like, Disney Plus's whole purpose of being, the place of watching all the Disney movies and shows, so why not use that chance to put some of the stuff that people haven't been able to, like, legally watch in, like, decades on there, like we did with the Muppets. Like with the Muppets, we only had like the first few seasons on DVD, and then like the last 5 years we had the other Muppets shows. Man, there's a lot. You really gotta realize there's how many people died here when you just got all these golden boots everywhere, and how many of them haven't even drank a bit of shield potion as a result of it. This is very probably get sweaty now because there's 2 people left outside of myself, so they could be hiding anywhere among this line to get the win. Let me remove myself real quick. But yeah, there's that, and hell, there's even a whole thing with that Toy Story, the collection set game that's coming out later in October. I'm like, maybe down the line I might be interested in potentially streaming that down the line, because I want to play some of those old ass like Toy Story games that people used to play back then when at the time I was born, like Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, all that stuff were like all gone by that point in terms of getting new games. It was all about PlayStation and like, I don't even know if the Dreamcast ever went to Ireland, or like, I know probably the Nintendo 64 probably did, but I don't recall like the Sega Dreamcast making that jump to Ireland. So I want to play some of those old Toy Story games or other licensed games that had video games back then, within like the 90s or 80s or even the 2000s. Beforehand, there's an appeal to playing those games. Like, I played a bit of Toy Story 1 because the Toy Story 2 with like Buzz Lightyear to the rescue, I played that because I got that for free on my PlayStation Plus earlier. So yeah, I recall playing Buzz Light back then. I recalled, like, I can't remember how far I got like that. Oh, look at that. I got my victory royal on this part. Oh, no, you don't. There you go. Oh, hold on. See? Sweet victory. I'm gonna get your golden sprite while I'm at it. Well, vampires come out of my back. Okay. That I did not expect to win that, but here we are, alright? Yeah, no, I remember playing a bit of the Bugs Life video game back then. I don't recall how far I went with it, but I did remember owning it back then. I think I still have it somewhere, I think. I'm not entirely sure. But, I would like to get that Toy Story, retro roundup game, or whatever it's called. Oh, I can still hear Sweet Victory. Sweet Victory, stop! I know, my win was sick, but you don't need to play out this moment, man. Twitch is probably already going to be after me like, stop the music, stop the music! you're gonna get blocked in like in certain regions that probably don't even really watch most of your content anyway. Like Russia or Turkey. Because they're on YouTube. I think the Flash. I think it's the Flash. There we go. Now, phew, we can kind of like cut off the music. No, like Paramount's been already been at that with SpongeBob clips on Twitter as it is anyway. So, but it's weird enough. I never gotten blocked by a lot of these like companies toward their copyrighted material. Like, even the last live stream, I think I was only muted for like maybe a couple of minutes at the beginning, but then after that it was grand from there. So I don't know. But here's a question I want to ask some of y'all. Like, what do you think about the Toy Story movies, including stuff like the Buzz Lightyear Star Command and Lightyear and all that stuff? Because that's always been like the interesting thing about Toy Story. People almost like universally think the first three movies in the series are like peak cinema. Toy Story 4 is kind of where it's a bit more divided. Toy Story 5, we have yet to really see how people think about that soon. Buzz Lightyear Star Command, I don't know how people normally think about that beyond the movie, because that's like the only real piece about that part of Toy Story that's like still available on DVD to get when it comes to the movie, when you have like Tim Allen doing Buzz Lightyear's voice and not Patrick Warburton. So can I just say, like, unless you're taking advantage of people like decide to run away from you, isn't like the whole point of the self-revive machine like useless when people just kill you as is? Yeah, because that's always been the thing with Toy Story 4. Like, Toy Story 4 for me, I don't dislike it. I generally do like Toy Story 4, on its own. It's just always been because of that method, because it's, like, tied in because of the first three movies to have, like overshadow it. Where then... Oh. This was actually shooting off like that. The rest of the crew hiding down here to see. Wait, what are you dancing? Well, we haven't sound like weapon. I've always been my thing about Lightyear, because I feel like Lightyear starts off really good within its first, like, act, when you have Buzz Lightyear trying to, like, travel to time to save the planet, save the people there. Like, yeah, the whole scene, especially where his friend, in particular, like, every time Buzz Lightyear jumps, does a jump skip, that she gets older, and we get to see her life just accepting her life, like, even if that was like the whole pointless controversy about her being, kissing a woman. God forbid. We got the most miniature, like, attempt of LGBTQ material in the Disney movie, and that caused, like, so many people, like, piss their pants in anger and all that shite. Yeah, but the moment Buzz Lightyear finally makes the jump to time and gets to end up on the different planet, that's where the film dips. Like, I liked what the Elisa tried to do with him trying to connect to his friend's daughter. Like, I liked that dynamic at least, but the rest of the crew that they had in that movie were such, like, nothing characters. Especially the one voiced by Keigaka Titi, I think that's his name. Because you can tell they were trying to make him funny, like make his humor be like the main appeal of the character, but you can just tell it's just like let him improv some stuff, and then after that, you know, that's all we need. And then the whole thing with Zurg, I, I hate when they try. I hate that they try to make this like the thing, like, oh, this is how Andy fell in love with Buzz Lightyear in the first Toy Story movie. In the first place, like, if this is what Andy watched and ended up loving, man, that kid must have been stupid. Like, I know there's the whole thing that kids get, you know, the kids obviously like some dumb shit. Like, you know, I'm no different. But really, how do you become a fan of Buzz Lightyear with that whole thing in mind? Especially when it's like, oh, I'm just like, it's just Buzz Lightyear in the future. Now here I am, using, nope, John Rambo. Nope, I don't even know if that was John Rambo. It just killed. You just see it do like, no, Man, I'm trying to keep a conversation. I'm getting shot out everywhere. You know, when they try to reveal, like, oh, this is Buzz Lightyear from, like, the future where he, you know, gets chased by the Galactic team and decides to find these robots and use that to, like, I can't even remember, what was his motive again? Like, some time manipulation bullshit to erase something? I haven't barely remember what the villain's Buzz Lightyear's motive was in that movie after a while. But, yeah, it's like, Andy must have, like, some shit taste in movies if that's what he, like, ended up loving. Like, I would have loved to see something from, you know, like, an alternative thing where Andy grows up, he watches that movie, and he just goes like, man, this was a load of shit. You know, we all have that point, like, towards some movies that we remember watching as a kid, that we look back and go, man, that was stupid. No. AVGN would be like, if I was going full AVGN mode, I'd be like, man, that movie's a load of ass. I'd rather, like, shove a pineapple up my ass than want to watch this movie again. Then that'd be more like nostalgia critic more than anything else. See, do I actually have Earth Sprite? I don't know if I have this Sprite or not. Again, I don't know much about these gummy Sprites, and I don't know, like, what I have, so let's just extract them while I have a chance, and get them into my collection if I haven't gotten them already. Alright, nope, I haven't gotten them already. Okay, good. Yeah, I don't know. Like, all the issues I had with Toy Story 4, at least, I'm like, it's still a Toy Story film. Like, it still has a lot of material I liked in the movies from, like, the other three. The only major thing from Toy Story 4 I generally did not really care for much was how Buzz Lightyear was written in that movie, with that whole inner voice thing they tried doing with him. You know, they really tried to, like, make that a thing with Buzz Lightyear, and I'm here like, listen, it feels like every Toy Story film has to find a gimmick for Buzz Lightyear to do something. But at least the other, like, three movies up to that point, other two movies at least had something funny, like, you know, what would Buzz Lightyear be like if he essentially met himself through, Woody's point of view, where he thought he was a real space ranger. What would happen if, you know, you reset him back to normal and he takes himself seriously? And plus the whole Spanish Buzz thing, you know, that was at least funny. You know, and how that went. But the inner voice thing with 4, no, I didn't really like that. And at least, thankfully, without giving much away about Toy Story 5, they do like Buzz Lightyear a lot better. Like, even the plot about the other Buzz Lightyears, the high-tech Buzz Lightyear toys that I think they were trying to pose as, like, the villains of the movie. And they weren't really even villains, more so. But they have some, you know, some cool ideas, with that whole, you know, the high-tech Buzz Lightyear toys. Without going too far about it, because, you know, this just came out, like, yesterday. But even like Toy Story 5, especially, like if you were a fan of Jessie in those movies, like, if you're a fan of Jessie, I'd say Toy Story 5 is easily where, you know, you're gonna really like how they did her at least, because they really, this is essentially Jessie's movie. Basically, from that point on. I don't know, SpongeBob, it looks pretty over for us now. Skip it out. No, okay, SpongeBob, I'll never doubt you again. We have a slight chance. It's not much of a chance, but we definitely have a chance. Yeah, like I'd say Toy Story 5 is definitely worth watching. Personally, to me, I don't really get why some people would dislike it. Outside of maybe it's just like again that whole mindset of, you know, the third film being the perfect finale to the franchise itself. Like we know damn well Disney's not going to let that cash cow die. Like the moment you make something that has something that makes over $1 billion, Disney is going to be like, I'm going to run you to the goddamn ground if it's the last thing I do. So, you know, you completely, you know, won't give me any more money to make from you. Like that's the only real major point I can see Disney saying no to continuing a franchise, that you should just stop making the money. But at the moment, Toy Story, no matter how many years it's been since the first movie, it's still so that big as a brand that it's never gonna die. Peekaboo. I was wondering where this person is. Oh, there's the peekaboo. I was wondering where this guy. Oh, there he is. So, like, even now, like, I'd say we'll definitely get a Toy Story 6 down the line, too. I guess it all depends on just how many times. Like, how does the cast still feel like doing it as well? You know, not just the money, but how much can they rely on having Tom Hanks, and you know, Tom Hanks, Tim Allen, and all the rest of the major cast from the Toy Story films be there? Like, you know, I know they had the whole thing with, I forgot the actor's name, but I know he did a lot of the Looney Tunes voices. Like, he does the voice of Mr. Potato Head now. Well, I think it's, yeah, man, I really am forgetting the name of the guy. But I know that's it, Jeff Bergman, that's it. I know he now does the voice of Mr. Potato Head in the newest movie because of his original voice actor dying. Like, even before Toy Story 4 came out. So, I know, you know, they can do recasting of certain characters if it suits them, but it only really does depend on how far can they go with that. I'm trying to see if there's any person here, but, you know, I don't know, it's always just a thing with a franchise that goes on for so long, like The Simpsons, SpongeBob. It's like, obviously, the only real way you can really see maybe something ending fully is either that the franchise itself just doesn't make any money anymore, that it just becomes unprofitable for the company, that they're willing to say, okay, we're willing to let it go. Like how Sega was initially for Sonic the Hedgehog, when you had stuff like Sonic Boom and all that stuff coming out, and Sega was like, you know what, maybe we're done with Sonic. Which is an insane thought to think they initially had that in mind, just let go of Sonic the Hedgehog like that, but it is true, you know, money talks, and all these studios will continue something as long as there is money for it. That is true, because that's always been the thing that people have always said about The Simpsons and SpongeBob, but I'm always here like, those two are so big at this point that realistically, like, as much as people complain about The Simpsons voice cast or the SpongeBob's voice cast about being so old, especially nowadays when you have like Julie Carver, anytime she speaks, that people make it sound like the Simpsons are killing her right on the spot. Yeah. This is the one thing I've been hard of live streaming and talking. There we go. I lost, but whatever. Yeah, you can keep the gummy sprite. Yeah, when people say about, recasting the Simpsons VAs or all that stuff. Yeah, that's always been the thing. I feel like people are always, forgetting that the actors, they're paid extremely well. Like, I think at the moment the Simpsons cast are paid 300K per episode nowadays, which is consider how most of the Simpsons episodes nowadays are 22 episodes. That's what? Just from 3 episodes alone, 4 episodes alone, that's $1.2 million. So when you combine that with 22 episodes, that's almost I don't know, it's definitely a lot of money from doing The Simpsons. So it's no wonder why they keep doing it. Even if, say Harry Shearer recently thought, it's still alright, it's a show, but it's hard to really have that enthusiasm for a show that's been on as long as it has. But, again, it's still a profitable franchise for Disney and Fox. That no wonder why we haven't seen the end of it with now more Disney Plus episodes. All these recent collaborations Disney is able to do with the brand now with Fortnite and Monopoly Go, and the second Simpsons movie coming out next year. So it's Disney knows how much this franchise makes, and even if they say they'll end the show when one of the major VAs pass away, I imagine they'll still find a way to recast these characters to keep going, much like the Mickey Mouse cast or the Looney Tunes. It's just impossible to let these characters go after so long as is. So, that's my 2 cents on that. Anyway, Toy Story again. Now we got Zurg. I always kind of I liked it made sense to add Zurg into the game with Buzz Lightyear and Woody, because it fits with the rivalry thing the season had. The design of Zurg, it's a mix between the regular toy design with, the Buzz Lightyear movie, the Lightyear movie's design, which is the dark side for Zurg, at least, in terms of you don't really see his legs through the toy design. This is kind of the best way you can really translate Zurg into Fortnite. But yeah, I'm hopeful that maybe when Toy Story 5 comes out on Disney Plus later in maybe October or November, that maybe Woody and Jessie can then come to the game afterwards to tie in with the Disney Plus release. But, I think they did a good job with Buzz Lightyear. With Zurg, in here, Buzz Lightyear's almost identical to how he's in the movies anyway. Just, having the usual Fortnite thing of having the longer legs. Yeah, true. That's something. It is the skirt aspect of Zurg that makes it tricky. So the fact that they did him in this way, it is the best way you can get around having Zurg in the game, and it still looks cool and fits with him. And also, yeah, I think a Buzz, as much as I think, some people give shit about the sidekicks, and some of it is valid, but I think with the collab skins, I know there's the whole thing about reusing assets, the dancing emotes and all that stuff, when you want to give them a high five or something, but really, I think the whole thing about the sidekicks, I don't mind it with the collab stuff. because it's always like it's funny to have like a little SpongeBob following around with characters like Zurg or Art the Clown, Jason. you know, it's a funny juxtaposition of seeing a happy-go-lucky character just hanging out with a galactic supervillain like Zurg. You know, like even on this later on this live stream, it's going to be a funny image to see SpongeBob just dancing so happily next to John Rambo, of all people, the guy that gets like traumatized from the war, and Vietnam War or something. I haven't seen like the Rambo movies in so long, but I forgot how exactly how traumatized Rambo is, but you know, it's the transposition that always makes Fortnite this like unique game to me. Mm-mm. Yeah, but let me see. Let's see. You're. I think I already had you, but I'm gonna have you. I'm gonna have you on my back. At least it's not the 0 point shard ones. But it's also with Toy Story. Like if they're gonna do a 6 movie, which they're more likely gonna do down the line, it's always about like the plot. Like how can you keep up, you know, this idea about the toys going after so many movies, and I think Toy Story 5 does a good job with the whole plot about, you know, the toys versus the tech plot without it being preachy. Like, it would have been easy to just simply just do the whole tech is bad plot, especially nowadays, but I think Pixar did the good approach that they're like, no, technology at this point is just never gonna go away. Like, we humans have been using it to a point that it's impossible to move as a society without having technology in our lives, like with mobile devices, laptops, all that stuff. So how they approached it with Toy Story 5, I think they did a good job with how they approached the storyline without being too preachy or like Facebook, you know, like something you would see out of like lesser animated production that would just treat it like technology is just bad and that's it. That you would have seen maybe back in like the early 2000s when social media was taking off in some form of way. But yeah, I think if a Toy Story 6 were to be made, I think it definitely has to come down to the plot. Like, what can you do with these characters after like 5 movies in? You know, because at least Lightyear, you know, as flawed as it is, I think the concept behind Lightyear had potential to work. Maybe that's like its own like solo thing. Like, don't even like pull that whole thing that Andy was watching as a kid thing, but just treat it like this is like just a Buzz Lightyear movie that was made in the actual like Toy Story universe as like the brand of toys of Buzz Lightyear continue making these movies. Yeah, that's the thing. You could technically make it be like be Bonnie's finale as the one to play with the toys, because the whole point with Toy Story 5 is that it takes place 2 years later after Toy Story 4. So, like, Bonnie, in terms of the movies now, she's like 8 years old. So obviously, at that point, you're going to play up to that point where she'll get old too. And they'll have to talk about, you know, what they'll do with the toys then, and do they repeat a certain element with Andy? That, you know, would he be similar? Would she be similar to Andy? How she get, you know, she deals with, you know, with the toys, or will she be different from Andy and do something different? You know, I don't know. It's it's one way or another. I'll still be there to watch it. Like, I think at this point, I'm committed to watching movies at this rate to truly give up on it. So they could pull out a Toy Story 6. I'm still here having hope that Pixar can deliver like they have normally have done within the last, like, you know, what was it? I want to say 30, 40 years now? I think we're getting close to nearly 50, I think, by this rate now, in terms of just how many movies, um, how many years has Pixar been around for. Hey, that's my kill. Hey, look at me, fishy. Look at your kill. Oh, that's cute. You think you use your little self-reviving thing there? Fuck. Get out of there. Okay, I always want to save up on my bullets. I've always kind of wondered, like, if people, like, if Pixar were to make, like, I know we have, like, Incredibles 3 coming out, but would there be any, like, other Pixar movie that you want to see get a sequel that, you know, that hasn't either been given one in a long time, or hell, even some Pixar movies that haven't been given a sequel before, like, say, things like Bug's Life. Brave, not so much, but, you know, maybe they might pull something, especially make a version of Brave that might be good, or at least not was one having as much development hell for in comparison to other Pixar productions. Good Dinosaur, probably not, because even by that point, that was like one of Pixar's only major bombs, so the chances of us seeing anything from The Good Dinosaur is very slim in comparison to everything else they have going on. Because I know they talked about discussions about maybe doing a Turning Red 2. I don't know about a Luca 2. I know there was definitely talking about doing Hoppers. Ooh, doing a Hoppers sequel. Which I do kind of wonder, how can you make a sequel to Hoppers? But again, Pixar always finds a way to make their sequels work, so maybe they could find a way to make another movie with Mabel and still King George and all the rest of the characters work. Who knows? Hey, buddy. I'm hearing footsteps. Over here. Okay, I missed. Okay, that was me being stupid. I missed. Ratatouille. I feel like that would be like what Patton Oswalt just said recently, where, you know, even he admits that, you know, he only wants to do a second movie of Ratatouille if Brad Berg's involved. And yeah, I would only really watch a Ratatouille movie if a sequel to Ratatouille if Brad Berg is involved in it, because if anyone else did it, it just wouldn't feel right. Like, The Incredibles, I think they've gone to a point where it can't continue without his direct involvement, though he probably would still find a way to be involved. Like, it is still his franchise in the end of the day, and with how good the first Incredibles movie was, like, it wouldn't have felt right not including him in some way in the, at least in the storyline somewhere. I don't know, it's always been like just a thought when it comes to like certain sequels of Pixar's in comparison to other studios like DreamWorks or Illumination or Sony or even Paramount, you know, because all of them have their like various different projects with original characters, existing properties, all that stuff. I'm using I'm basically using most of my potable extractors for these gummy things because I had never got them before in the main game beforehand. But yeah, like, you know, Pixar always has like a certain quality to them that I think a lot of other studios just never really been able, like, don't quite hit the same level towards. Where, you know, when you got a bad movie or a good movie from like Sony or Illumination or Warner Brothers along that line, you know, when you get a bad movie, you just hope that the next one be good. Whereas Pixar most of the time, like even compared to Disney, you know, Pixar, most of the film has generally been good, except for like very, very small exceptions to the rule. No, I did not get those. To be honest, when I saw, I'm trying to put the text is blocking with my whip, and I want to get the shotgun out. There we go. Oh shit, crap. Fuck you, Jonesy. You're a bitch. No wonder why you got shot. You can't hit me. I'm your papa. Oh, damn it. No, I didn't. Whoop, shit. Don't know what that was about. No, I did not get the. They did not. I did not get the Ratatouille cosmetics for Fortnite because it's the same thing with Sonic. It's such a lackluster collaboration where I would even settled with a Remy sidekick and go from there. Because at least that gives you something. Give you something to work off from. Warner Brothers, like, when you talk about Warner Brothers, it's hard because it feels like, we started off good with the Lego movie. We had the Lego movie first off, and then we got the Lego Batman movie too. That was really good. Lego Ninjago I never saw beyond the bit with the trailer. I never really been interested in Rocket League, so I never got the cosmetics, but I wouldn't be surprised if they got more cool stuff with Ratatouille and Rocket League. But yeah, they did the Lego movies, like the first bunch of Lego movies, at least. Because I never watched Lego Ninjago. I watched Lego Movie 2, the second part, and I like it, but it kind of has that bit of the same energy as Toy Story 4. It's the early version of Toy Story 4, which is funny enough, when we're only like a few months apart. Is that it's a good film on its own. In terms of a sequel to, the past movie, it doesn't quite hit the same level. And like certain decisions they make in it are kind of questionable there. But that's because that film bombed. That's when Warner Bros. Was like, okay, we're not really going to continue with these Lego movies anymore. Universal can keep it. And the most Universal has done with this Lego has made that Pharrell Williams biography film, which was a fine movie, but the Lego aspect is the only real reason why that film stood out to me. I know they may be making a live-action animated hybrid film of something, but that's about it when it comes to Lego movies. But then you get, for everything like Smallfoot, you get, you always didn't get, the live-action stuff when you had, you had Scoob. You had Scoob come out, Scoob is such a 50-50 film for me, because I like the animation. I liked a majority of the voice cast in that, and I think when it does focus on being a Scooby-Doo movie, it works. But when it's trying to be, basically the Hanna-Barbera's version of the MCU with Blue Falcon, Captain Caveman just being there because, he's a part of the Hanna-Barbera brand. And as cool as I think how they do Dick Dastardly in that movie, it's I don't know. It's such a 50-50 movie for me. Maybe Holiday Hunt would have been better if Warner Brothers didn't cancel it, nearly 95% of completion. At the time when that was in the work made. But at least, at least thank God we have Coyote vs. Acme being saved, and that'll be coming out later, which I found out just yesterday that it will be coming out in Ireland theaters on August 21st, a week before America gets it too. So at least I'll get to see that movie early, and early first off. But most importantly, get to see it in theaters at all, because that's easily a part. I think for 2026 at least, it's been my most anticipated movie of the year so far. But yeah, all the other Looney Tunes movies up to that point, like Space Jam and New Legacy. It's funny because back then HBO Max didn't come out for Ireland until like back in March of this year because of some stuff involving Sky here, but it's funny to see that as the biggest HBO Max advert ever, and even as a Space Jam movie, it is so light. Like, I don't really, like, I'm 50-50 on the first Space Jam movie. Like, I think certain aspects of it is good, while a majority of it isn't. But at least I would rather watch the original film over A New Legacy, because at least it commits to the whole bit of being a Looney Tunes movie put into with a basketball advert from Nike. Whereas Space Jam: A New Legacy is just a HBO Max ad. And that's kind of about it as far as it goes. I have seen some other like direct DVD Looney Tunes movies that were released after Space Jam, like King Tweety, which is an okay film. I'm not really big into Tweety as a character, personally, but King Tweety was fine. There was like a Taz direct-to-DVD movie too, Request for a Burger, which is also fine. Like, it's very much a child. Like, it's very much, both King Tweety and Taz are like very much kids movies with the Looney Tunes brand on it, and they still work as movies, but it's obviously not. I don't think the die-hard Looney Tunes fans are going to like it as much. But The Day the Earth Blew Up, really fantastic movie that I think works because they tone down some things we have seen from the other Looney Tunes movies before. Like, it only focuses on, beyond Petunia, it only focuses on Daffy and Porky. And I think that's good that it only kept it to them. It did not focus on having cameos from the other Looney Tunes characters. Like, there was no Bugs Bunny, there was no, oh hi Shira, let me just shoot you in the face, real quick. It didn't focus on having cameos from like Bugs Bunny, Marvin the Martian, or any other significant characters from the Looney Tunes. It only focused on just Daffy, Porky, and Petunia. That's it. They made their own original characters, like the Invader. I love the Invader character in the movie. Like, he may not get that much screen time in the movie, but when he does get the main attention, he is generally like one of the greatest like one-off Looney Tunes characters so far, personally. I'm hopeful that they can do like little callbacks to him in other Looney Tunes media in some form of way. Again, in Coyote for Zachney, looking forward to that. But then you get the last Warner Brothers thing that came out from their main animated studio recently. It's the Tom and Jerry movie, the live-action one, with basically was just Tom and Jerry in a hotel, but most of it was Chloe Moritz. I don't know her name fully. But it was basically just her movie with Tom and Jerry just being support characters. Man, I hate that shotgun so much. It takes so much damage. But yeah, it was mainly just her movie with Tom and Jerry as guest stars more so than anything else. Now, the thing is, Tom and Jerry to me is a guilty pleasure movie. I admit it has a lot of flaws, but for what it does right with the animation or towards some of the jokes with Tom and Jerry, I think it works fine. As is, but there's a lot of flawed aspects to it. And then I got to saw the Forbidden Compass movie recently. Really, it's weird how we got that movie in UK and Ireland like 2 weeks ago, while America has still yet to wait until like September to get that movie. And I don't think Americans will really care about the movie. It is very much like it is apparent that it's a Chinese production, and as much as I personally like Forbidden Compass with Tom and Jerry, it's definitely going to be a flawed movie. Like some people consider that, like, some of the worst movies. They dislike the Forbidden Compass and even say the 2021 Tom and Jerry movie was better than that. I kind of don't see why in comparison to what Bugs. Oh, hey Bugs, I was just talking about you and your movies earlier. Don't mind me. But yeah, that's kind of at least the thing with Tom and Jerry. But I'm hopeful that new Tom and Jerry movie they're working on can be good too, as well. But now that I changed skins, here, let's go to the second topic of today, which is of course about the Amazing Digital Circus, because here I am as Pomni, running around the place because, as you all know, the finale finally premiered on YouTube, just recently, and Netflix too. I got saw the finale in theaters with my friends 2 weeks ago, so I had the pleasure of hiding spoilers away from the finale from a lot of people in comparison to others who basically were spoiling it across Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube everywhere, as the Amazing Digital Circus fandom has normally done before up that point. Just again, without spoiling much about the finale itself, I really love how the series concluded, and it only gets to show how the Amazing Digital Circus, as far as like indie animated projects go, it's an impressive accomplishment of what this series has been able to do within like 3 years. And to the point, like, yeah, like right now, even on Fortnite, like, to imagine the day where Pomni and Jax gets to hang out with characters like Homer Simpson, Peter Griffin, various like Disney characters, Warner Bros. Characters, all the other horror characters. Like, it's all insane to think about. And yeah, you may have the whole thing where Pomni's legs has to be like stretched apart thanks to Kane to allow her to get into the game as is, but it's again one of the appeals of Fortnite, and I think it's just also the Amazing Digital Circus too, that they can willing to say, okay, if we're going to include the character in the game, let's have a silly, dumb reason why she's here, and just pull her limbs apart, and because the cartoony nature of the Amazing Digital Circus, they can get away with that. I also kind of wonder, like, what do people think about the finale to the Amazing Digital Circus? Because I have seen some people dislike the finale, and I kind of don't get why, to be honest. Beyond maybe that it just comes down to expectations, like how they think the finale towards the Amazing Digital Circus plays out. And it didn't quite go as well as they hoped, and they didn't cope well with it, because, as far as, like, TV finales go, especially for animation, it has been rough at times, with stuff like, say, Star vs. the Forces of Evil, along that lines. We don't really get that many good finales for shows. Like, even, like, some shows, like The Owl House, like, that one was kind of... That was made within like a bad situation, because obviously Disney cut the series short. They gave them like 4 one-hour episodes to conclude the storyline, and then they had to kind of go, alright, let's just pick out whatever stories we can make with these characters and just try our best to conclude it from there. And that's no easy task. I really bet that's not easy to do. For a series like The Owl House, where they had a lot of things going on at the time to sort out. But I think they did a good job with the finale and what they're able to do with Luce, Amity, Ada, and all the rest of the cast. So, it's cool to at least see Gooseworks. I think it was always intended to be a 9-episode series only, like they were never intended to plan to make this go further than 1 season. So it was cool to see at least Gooseworks make what she wanted to make with the Amazing Digital Circus, and conclude in a way that she wants it to be, while Glitch helping out with it. Though, again, like I said, I've seen some people be a bit more divided on how the series included in comparison to even other Glitch productions that ended. Like, the Metal Runner or Murder Drones. But again, I still don't quite get exactly how it's, you would dislike the finale of the Amazing Digital Circus, maybe besides saying it might have been a bit rushed. I don't know. It's kind of at least, me going at that. Again, as a fan of Amazing Digital Circus, I just got very emotional. There was like multiple points in the finale that made me very emotional. And there was like one point where I did try to fight back a little bit with the emotions, but then it did one thing that got me. Then I was like, shit. First off, I don't even want, I don't know, this is always the thing with me in Fortnite after a while. It's like, when I get killed, I just don't want to see the player that killed me. I just go like, I'm hopping back into the lobby. I don't want to watch their gameplay. It's just always a weird thing with me when it comes to Fortnite. It's just going, alright, they killed me. Don't want to watch their gameplay. As simple as that. Yeah. I don't know, it's weird how some things evolve, I guess. And, the Amazing Digital Circus is one of them. And how much people can say about, Glitch not being much of an indie studio anymore, despite the fact they are still with indie production. Like, yeah, they may have been fortunate enough to get as much merchandise, get its finale released in theaters for 2 weeks, by the way. Like, that's even impressive for even some of the smaller indie productions to even get that much for time in theaters. So it was lucky that Amazing Digital Circus was able to get 2 full weeks in theaters, and I think it made a massive profit. Like, I think it made over like 39 million in the box office within like the first weekend alone. And that's like half the film's time in theaters, so it was impressive how they were able to get that much done with the Amazing Digital Circus. It just still feels weird to look at Pomni. Just looking, like, falling down, having her, doing emotes or certain dances with, like, Homer Simpson, Michael Myers, Perry the Platypus, who's already weird enough being buffed. Just buff-ass platypus just beating the shit out of somebody and while also shooting you at the same time. Like, you gotta imagine how, like, some of the ideas for Fortnite skins work like that. Like, you think they have to talk to Dan and Jeff on that idea of, hey, we want Perry the Platypus and Doofenshmirtz in Fortnite, but in order to make Perry the Platypus work, we have to basically make him work out in the gym for, like, a week or two. To can go from there. So, I don't know, I think Pomni, they at least did the best they could with her character design, with her lanky legs and big-ass head. But they made it work. I think they made it work with Pomni, anyways. And because Jax, in comparison, Jax didn't really need much to change, really. Like, maybe the only little thing about him is that the eyes have been a bit awkward with Jax because of the Fortnite facial expressions. But generally, Jax, in terms of his body proportions, didn't really require much change in comparison to Pomni's. Did you hear somebody right? That guy did not want a shower, I guess. He said, fuck that shower. I don't want it. I want to be a stanky man. It's so funny to look at the Poppy's pickaxe being bubble. Just imagine, like, if Gooseworks had to, like, provide voice work for Bubble when, you're racking away the pickaxe. And just imagine Gooseworks just going, bleh, 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 bleh. Like Bubble does in the show as is. It's like, why are you like this? So I kind of wonder, like, what the people consider to be their favorite Amazing Digital Circus character, because I'm probably super generic with my answer of just being Pomni. I don't know why. Like, there's a thing with main characters for me that just works. There's rarely a series out there that doesn't usually have their favorite character, the favorite character of mine, just being the titular protagonist themselves. Jonesy wannabe. I don't know. You don't want to be Jonesy. The last thing Jones did was get shot. So I don't think that's the life you're looking for. What also kind of brings me up to one thing about Glitch that I've always kind of thought about now that Amazing Digital Circus has ended. That will there ever be a show for Glitch that will ever reach the same popularity as the Amazing Digital Circus? Because realistically, I can't really think of much. Like, you know, I know people obviously have, you know, we still have yet to find out exactly what Glitch's future is like before the same show, like High Butters, Fly Butters. You know, I know we have Gamer First becoming a big hit. We have, of course, the speaking about the Owl House, I keep forgetting the name of the show, but I know she has a show from Glitch now that is like getting a full season work now, like the Amazing Digital Circus was when its pilot premiered. So I always wondered if we'll ever get to a point where it becomes as popular as the Amazing Digital Circus, because there had to be something about this show in terms of either its characters, the writing, or even like the whole concept of the Amazing Digital Circus. Yeah, because that's the thing, like, it really did just pop out of nowhere in terms of popularity. Like, Glitch premiered it, it got a decent amount of attention, but then suddenly, boom, now here comes everybody talking about it in a big, significant way, and it became one of the biggest hits on YouTube. Like, even Has Been Hotel or Hell of a Boss, you know, at least those at least had decent backing going into it. You know, as much as, you know, you can say about her as a person, at least Fizzy Pop, you know, she at least, you know, put her passion into that series. Like, she made sure to, like, whenever she wasn't working on something of her own, another project of her own, or doing smaller work, like, she did, like, a bunch of collabs with, she did, like, the cartoon All-Stars to the Rescue collab. They were one of the songs from that special, as well as, working on something about the Revolver Boys from, like, the Looney Tunes, the anime project. She made a lot of her attention on Hell of a Boss. That it's no wonder why that got at least such a strong, you know, foundation that now it's become a big series of its own for Amazon. Now that they own the show with A24. You know, again, you can think of whatever you want with Vizzy Pop. Personally, I like Vizzy shows. I wouldn't say Amazing Digital Circus to me is always going to be preferred. I'm always going to prefer over Has Been Hotel or Hell of a Boss. It's not even because of the humor. Like, the humor, yeah, it's swearing and that, but, you know, it's like, there is, like, a way you can make that work. And Vizzy's, the way it Has Been Hotel and Hell of a Boss does it, like, I feel like sometimes it works, while other times it doesn't. Yeah, true. It is true. True. It's one reason why. That's one thing Has Been Hotel has as a show, that you have Keith David as Husk. That is 100% true. That, like, give this man a true, because that is. It's really. I really watch anything that has Keith David in it. So I'm not even sure about that Rick and Morty spin-off they're doing with his mayor character, but, you know, hey, the guy is still he still has a career, and he's still doing pretty good with people, so that's the main thing. At least with, like, compare that Hell of a Boss, where, I don't know, Hell of a Boss for me, the only little major thing I really keep notice of with Hell of a Boss nowadays is really, I guess, outside of having, like, certain voice actors or celebrities in there, like, you know, you have Richard Horse as Moxie. Obviously you're going to have appeal of having Billy and Sim around. But also, like, the main thing about has been. I'm getting my Dizzy Pop shows mixed up. The main thing about what Hella Boss really to me is really Millie. Like, I don't know much about what they're doing with her in the most recent episodes, especially Oh yeah, true. They did release. Oh yeah, that is true. They did release a Minecraft skin of Hell of a Boss recently. I guess that's. I mean, I think that's also been like Hell of a Boss's like first major video game thing going on right now. Is that they did have that, and this guy is desperate. Yeesh. Yeesh, this guy was desperate for the kill. Christ, on a bike. Yeah, but that was kind of really it with had a Hell of a Boss. That they got the Minecraft skins. Really, to be honest, it's cool. It's still funny to look at certain characters and how they translate into Minecraft skins, but I think they did a good job with that too. But it doesn't quite hit the same as compared to where we are now with Amazing Digital Circus. With again with Pomni and Jax being here. But that being said, I'm still hopeful for Glitch and all of their productions because I know there's the whole thing of people having against them being as big as they are now. But again, I think it's good to have a studio like Glitch around because, they really do help give these independent people a chance to have their series as being heard. Or in the case of like Ross O'Donnell with the Gamerverse, finally give his long decade search of getting the series greenlit and made into an animated show a reality now. Like, yeah, you probably say, we need more indie studios. It shouldn't just be Glitch, and that is a fair point to make. But that isn't to say, that we shouldn't really say that Glitch should be bad, or either, some slack, because they generally have been the reason why stuff like Amazing Digital Circus, Murder Drones, Gamerverse, and the other series like the Terra Tenants made after the Owl House. They're the reason why those become popular as they are now, and it's no wonder why Glitch is like, it's for a company that was made out of, the Gaslight District too, like, yeah, the Gaslight District, that's not what I was meant to say. That one is so impressive to look at, and it helps that Glitch was so supportive of the project. Like, I wouldn't imagine any other indie studio out there, or even major animated studio out there willing to support a project like the Gaslight District, because just one look at that show, that one pilot, and it will look like an expensive series to produce. So here comes Glitch saying, here, all you gotta do for us is just, give us some ideas for merchandise to help us produce the show later, and then after that, go nuts from there. That's the most really Glitch really has. It's like, they're good at making merchandise. And all this started because one of the brothers initially made machinima videos and just using Mario 64 videos to make Mario hump spaghetti and go Yahoo funny memes a thing. Like, it's funny to see where we're going from Glitch, starting off from that to where it is nowadays, where it's become one of the biggest names of indie animated studios, and the Amazing Digital Circus becoming like a household name. Like, even after the finale just recently premiered on YouTube and Netflix, I really don't see the Amazing Digital Circus as a series fully being forgotten, or being just not making new material. Like, I don't think there'll be a new episode, obviously, but we'll definitely still get merchandise and maybe even like small shorts, music videos, or maybe something along the line by Glitch to keep the momentum of the series going in some form of way. Heck, even with Fortnite now, like, You know, given how people were acting towards the fact that, you know, we didn't see Ragnarok, we didn't see Kinger in the gameplay the gameplay trailer we got before, you know, Pomni and Jax drops into Fortnite. Who's to say that maybe with the popularity of the Amazing Digital Circus, that maybe down the line they could maybe add Ragnarok or Kinger as skins in the game. Maybe even find a way to have a Gangle in there after, you know, after she basically got done dirty in the original trailer for being the one that was aware about Fortnite and for feeling Jonesy was there for the last 2 weeks. Yeah, because even like here, like I was generally surprised, like before the movie even came out, that we had some of the merchandise available. Yeah, that's definitely the example of adults not caring what kids watch. It's like this is why the shit revolving the age verification exists now. Even well, realistically, it's more so because of they just want your data, but you know they'll use that as a crutch for why that's become a thing in the first place. But yeah, like even like Ireland before the last act movie premiered, one of the like toy shops we have in Ireland called Smith's, we had plushies and the mystery box thing with figurines of the Amazing Digital Circus in there. So it's hard to imagine that. Yeah, I went seeing plushies of Pomni, Kinger, Kane, and Jax in my local toy store. And little figurines too. Like Hazbin Hotel, you know, as popular as that series is, the most I've seen merchandise be available in Ireland for me is mainly just the Funko Pops of like characters like Charlie, Faggy, Angel Dust, Alistair. You know, that's like the most I've seen. Follow a boss getting Hazbin Hotel. Hazbin Hotel getting merchandise in Ireland, and that's just typical Funko. That's like they were just bound to do that anyway with any brand whatsoever. Like, I'm surprised we haven't yet gotten My Life as a Teenage Robot Funko Pop or a Helda figurine yet. It would have at least completed my Sonic and Friends collection at least. Oh, you know, that's kind of a funny thing too to think about. That as popular as the Amazing Digital Circus is, I'm surprised we haven't seen the Funko Pops of the characters. Because generally, I think maybe you can get away with some of the characters and the whole Funko design going with the cast. Because you know, Jax alone, like when you really look at Jax, like let's see which one of my emotes is perfect for this. This one. Like, when you look at Jax already, like, most of his eyes are already, like, covered, like, black as it is already. So, why not make a Funko Pop out of that? It wouldn't even require much work to make it fit with the character. Maybe a character like Gangle would be a bit difficult to figure out. Subel, I think Subel might be a bit 50-50 on that. But I don't know. I think they could find a way to make it work. You know, again, that's just me because that's just generally just how popular, you know, the Amazing Digital Circus is, and how, you know, Funko in particular just really loves to grab whatever big franchise they can get and make into figurines. And Amazing Digital Circus is one of those series I'm just thinking. It's funny how that hasn't gotten that treatment yet, man, I'm getting my I'm speaking too long in chat that I'm just rambling and my language is getting mixed up. That, you know, even with the girl Golden Fruit, the Gooseworks, that she hasn't made, unless she just doesn't like Funko Pops and say, no, I'd rather get all these other companies to make merchandise based on, you know, the characters rather than Funkos. You know, it's up to her. You know, up to the creator's wishes to decide like what pieces of merchandise can be made with these characters and which ones work better. You know, what I'm saying, I'm just still happy just running around here as Pomni and Jax, just killing people like, Ghostface. Could I imagine a fight between Jax and Ghostface in Fortnite? No, but here I am, here we are anyway. But here we are anyway. Here's Ghostface just running away from Jax because, oh, this purple rabbit's got a shotgun. I think it just helps also that it's just. I mean, maybe it's true. Maybe whatever this company, the company that, you know, we normally see get the Amazing Digital Circus figurines whenever an episode premieres on YouTube. Maybe they have the exclusivity deal at the moment to make merchandise based on the franchise, and then once maybe that deal ends, maybe then it can hop over to someone else. Somebody else can make their own Amazing Digital Circus merch. Who knows? Maybe it's a possibility down the line. I don't know, I'd still be interested in getting Amazing Digital Circus merch if it comes to Ireland anyways. I haven't bought any of the merchandise from Glitch's shop because it's, I don't know, I think the conversion rate and all the money for that would be a bit expensive on my wallet, basically. And I'm already like nearly broke as it is most of the time. So I don't know. It's one of those cases that if merch finds that comes down to Ireland, then you know I'll go for it then. Ever imagine Jax beating the shit out of Rambo with Zurg? No. Yeah, that's the only thing, like, they always sell out well. Like, even before, like, there was some merchandise still left over at Smith's, by the time the last act come out, but after, like, a couple of days and I went back, yeah, all the Amazing Digital Circus merch was gone. Again, so, it's just proof that the series just keeps, like, you know, it's funny when I did watch the last act movie, I did have the audience, you know, like, I know people had the theater experience with the Amazing Digital Circus be a bit more disastrous compared to others. But for me, I had it really more casual, and it was kind of cool to see some fans come down there with their plushies from Glitch. Like, there was some Jaxes. There were, like, I think a Pomni or two. There was a Gummy Goo plush one, and I saw someone having a made Jax plush too. But there was also like cool cosplayers too. Like there was one person that really had a cool Zubul costume there. Yeah, because that's the thing. And, like, I know, like, obviously from some people, I've seen some TikToks where people have said some fans were a lot worse with their behavior in theaters towards the Amazing Digital Circus compared to others that, you know, made it sound like it basically be the Amazing Digital Circus equivalent of a Minecraft movie where the fans were just yelling out, squealing, like maybe their favorite character or some moment that happens in the series. Like obviously, you probably have some out there that geeked out that, you know, Jax appeared on screen, or, you know, maybe Pomni. Maybe you had a few moments with, you know, obviously maybe with episode 8 you had like the cute moments between, like, you know, like Angle and Zubul, or, you know, whenever Kane did something funny in the finale, you know, all that stuff. But generally, like, I think the most, I won't spoil it yet because it is with episode 9 in particular. So I won't spoil it yet in case for those who haven't seen the finale yet. And thank you for how small my chat is and my following is on Twitch. Luckily you guys can be saved on spoilers if you haven't seen the Amazing Digital Circus yet. But there's only like one specific moment in the finale that I think it made a few of the fans gasp a bit more a lot louder. But it wasn't even like an annoying degree of gasping. It was just like the crowd just went like, oh shit, this moment happened, and that was kind of it. maybe like I think there's like one a bit of just some laughs. I think it was just some that laughed a little bit harder on some of the bits of comedy, like with the final episode towards one moment with Jax and Subal. There was like one moment with Jax and Gangle that made a lot of people go like, "What the fuck?" on, and obviously, the big moments, like the more emotional moments in the finale, that's obviously where a lot more fans were quiet, but they weren't sobbing loudly over certain elements. They just respectively, they respectively just had an emotional breakdown, seeing some of their favorite characters through a rough situation in the finale. So it's one of the better experiences I thought going in for for the Amazing Digital Circus finale, which thank God for that. So I wonder who's. Oh, look at that! It's Skeletor. Skeletor will find a way.
Poorly for you. Prepare for pain.
Did you ever thought you could see Jax versus Skeletor? I'll teach you, you purple furry rabbit. And out he goes. Hey, main thing is, I killed Skeletor. That's the main thing. I killed Skeletor at least. Like, if nothing else, like, I'd rather be taken down by a purple rabbit rather than a foolish meatbag. Or whatever that skin was. I wasn't even quite really sure myself on what that skin was. But that purple rabbit, rather him kill me than He-Man. Now we go into the skin that just recently dropped in the item shop. And the funniest thing to think of was to look at John Rambo hanging out with SpongeBob. Obviously, there's been a lot of other 80s action franchises been in Fortnite already, like, the Terminator with Arnold. But it's funny to look at Sylvester Stallone and just see him hanging out with all these cartoon characters, too. And the funny thing is, I haven't really watched that much of Rambo. Like, I know at least the main premise of Rambo, but enough that I know there's a prequel movie being made that I think is coming out next year, which, knowing me, I'll probably still watch it anyway, after I watch the other 5 movies. But the prequel is just, obviously with Rambo, is just... Yeah, true, like, I do remember that, I do remember at least that, Rambo was in Mortal Kombat, so you could have him... I don't know which Mortal Kombat game it was, but I know he was in one of them that you could have him go against, I think, Jason, the Xenomorph, the Predator. A lot of funny little combinations. But it's just funny to think about looking at Sylvester Stallone. I think there's like 3 Sylvester Stallones. Oh no, that's just it's great games. But look, we have another, I think that's that's a generic. I don't know, just after a while I was like, are you Rambo? Are you Sylvester Stallone? Are you Sylvester Stallone? Do you go? I'm Sylvester Stallone. Like, it's funny enough, I think. Pattinson Smite 1. Oh, Twitch drops for some reason. Kind of weird to think how that worked with Twitch drops and those. But yeah, I know he was in at least one of the Mortal Kombat games at least. As a DLC character. Again, some people, like, the first thing I saw when on Twitter when he did drop on the item shop was, like, someone just posting, some account was just posting, like, now you can have Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger squad up together. They're like, yeah, like, this would be something you would like to see from... if you were a fan of the 80s action films back then, and I guess if you're over 40 or 50, and you play Fortnite, this would be the dream collab of seeing Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone together winning the Rambo and Terminator phase. Because I know, like, obviously, Sylvester Stallone and Arnold did do some sudden movies together, mainly the expendable movies more so than anything else, at least, like, the first 3 movies anyway. Yeah, but it's just like Sylvester Stallone is just one of those actors for me that um he has his movies obviously. Like there's a reason why like stuff like Rambo, Rocky, and all these other franchises are still able to continue even after all these years later because of him. But it's obviously much. Oh, hi, Mark. This is another case that I'm not letting Mark kill me. I was going to be pissed if Mark killed me at that moment. Uh, all those franchises became a thing because of Sylvester Stallone and how much stuff he put into those movies. But he comes like. Let's see. Oh, hi, the Batman who left. Those comes with a thing with me when I notice with some actors who turn old after a certain point in time is that you'll get to the point where you're getting old, but you'll still do movies and get paid to do for someone or something. So you do like lower budget action films that basically has like a whole bunch of nobodies be the main character, but they still highlight you in particular as like the main actor. Like they'll put your name on the title as if you're like the hot shit of the movie when in reality you're like an extended cameo that you get at least do one moment of an action scene and then after that you can call in check. Sylvester Stallone is like there was like multiple films from like the 2010s and 2020s that gave him this impression. Like even the Expendables 4 basically did that shit where they basically wrote his character off for like most of it, but they didn't even have the balls to kill him off in the movie. They have it where they have it near the end where it's like, oh, I just tricked you guys into thinking I'm dead so you can go out and do this mission, but instead, in order to convince you that I was dead, I just, knocked the shit out of this guy that stole something from you, put him on the plane I was in, jump out of it, and basically killed this guy just because it was convincing. Just say it's Sylvester Stallone. You're old. You can't do these action tricks as much as you do. Like, there's a reason why Rambo, now that we're doing a new Rambo movie, it's a prequel film to the series because we know damn well you could just hire someone else that can look like you and play as Rambo rather than you being out there in your 80s playing as this character. That's the main thing going on here. Um, you know, even Terminator after a while. Like, as much as, people love the first two Terminator movies, that franchise has just been true. This thing of, outside of, like, the fourth movie that, that no one cares about, to be honest, outside of a brief, like, CG cameo in there, like, all the other Terminator movies think, like, oh, the main reason why people watch these movies, is because of Arnold and the Richie comebacks. And, well, yeah, that is a bit of the appeal of the franchise, but it's more than just him that made those films work in the first place. But, how many Terminator sequels have there been now since since the second one that tries to bring back Arnold as the Terminator and do some other time monarchy stuff to say like, oh no, Skynet always had to always have Judgment Day happen in some form of way in the future. Like point like what was it, the Dark Age or whatever. The main last Terminator movie we got in theaters being such a shitstorm, and I think that's the one Disney has. I think that was the one Disney has internationally. I recall seeing that on Disney Plus when the Star was added to the server. Thanks for giving me your suitcase. I don't think Bro figured out how. I don't think Bro figured he was supposed to give me the suitcase. Switch that around. I'm hoping I'm still doing alright with these live streams so far, because it is, I'll admit, I feel like it's fairly basic. It was just me rambling along about franchises and stuff I know about when it comes to certain media and that, but that's just always been my main thing to talk about. Especially, there's definitely also the main appeal of Fortnite to me personally, and again, I'm making these out of fun, so even if I don't get that many viewers, pure these live streams when they happen, at least I'm having fun doing them. That's the main appeal for me in terms of these videos. So that, I'm hoping that you guys enjoy it. And again, I am planning to do a different live stream on Tuesday, with the Sonic Racing Cross Worlds thing to celebrate Sonic's 35th anniversary. So, for a few hours I might be able to play some online matches, on that game when that happens. And I might do some other single player games, some other multiplayer games, too, whenever I feel like doing it. And obviously, I'll do more Fortnite material here and there. Maybe like with new skins or new events. Like, I think I heard that Space Bet from Rick and Morty coming out soon. I think soon enough anyway. Oh, here comes the police. That's nice. Ooh. Okay, I was just going to say, wow, bro really missed his chance. I completely revived myself at that point, and you still got killed. You still, missed it, but no. Just as I got rebooted with my self-revive, I just got killed, so, I guess it's only fitting. I think I might make this one my last one of the night, and then might call it quits. But again, I have that as my plan with Sonic Racing Cross Worlds later this Tuesday. So this Tuesday coming up. So look forward to that down the line when the time comes. But again, Space Bet for Rick and Morty I think is coming out soon. It's funny to think how Rick and Morty has like 4 different waves of content. Like, could we break up the monotony a little bit and have some other adult swim shows? Like, I don't know, like Space Ghosts, Smiling Friends. It'd be funny to see the characters of that show get into Fortnite. Even some other adult animated stuff from Adult Swim would have been good than Rick and Morty 4 times in a row, and even then, like, fair enough, you got Rick and Morty themselves, then you got Pickle Rick. Okay, a bit late, considering Pickle Rick died, like, the whole hype around Pickle Rick died years ago, but whatever. But then, with Rick Prime, it's like, okay, I guess that's one compromise with having Rick in the game when the original Rick was a part of the Battle Pass back in Season 2, or Chapter 2, so, of course, not many players nowadays has a chance of getting the regular Rick Sanchez compared to Morty. But then you also had the Mr. Meeseeks, you had Summer. Meeseeks I don't mind as much. Summer, I kind of wish Summer was going a little bit better with her cosmetics and stuff, especially her skin. I don't really like the look of Summer when it comes to Fortnite. Then now we got Space Bet, which I guess now shows, it's a version of Bet, so at least we're getting all the major members of the family in some form of way, but, like, I wouldn't be surprised down the line if Cherry shows up. But, again, it's like, only how many versions of Rick and Morty in Fortnite does Fortnite need before, it gets a bit repetitive with Rick and Morty. And that's even saying as someone who hasn't watched anything with Rick and Morty for like the last, I want to say like, what was it, last 5-6 years? Like, I want to say, what was it, with Season 4? Like, Season 4 was like the last major season of Rick and Morty I watched. And even then, it wasn't like a massive amount either. Like, it was only like halfway through the season I watched Rick and Morty, in with season 4, but then after that, I kind of, really for me, I kind of just got that point that the show just wasn't really my thing anymore, and I just called it quits, which is weird to say as someone who still watches shows like The Simpsons and SpongeBob nowadays, even after both shows have hit their moment of quality, depending on who you ask. So it's just weird to think that Rick and Morty on its 4th season, wasn't kind of lost my interest. We're like now like season 9 of Rick and Morty, and I think there's stating that there might be plans of a Rick and Morty movie coming out now. It's insane to think just how Rick and Morty has continued to it can continue to keep going, and I haven't kept up with anything Rick and Morty related within the last like 5, 6. I'm not saying the next number in case someone does the whole numbers, like fuck off with your cringe numbers. But, it's still insane to think like just how long Rick and Morty has been going on for, and I just generally not kept up with it compared to stuff like The Simpsons or SpongeBob, or even stuff like South Park or other adult animated properties like Bob's Burgers, American Dad, Futurama. Those like keep coming up to once in a while. Rick and Morty just after the 4th season, when you still had Treasure Royland, and it became was trying to be more self-aware about how much people cared about the canon and how much people cared about the storyline, but they shouldn't give a shit about it. The more they did that, the less interested I got with Rick and Morty as a show. As you only can get meta so many times before it eventually just becomes annoying as shit to watch. Damn, I completely missed that. What the hell? Well, I don't know, I think that's kind of enough for me at the moment. I think that's where I can call it quits, because I feel like after a certain point, I kind of was rambling it just for the sake of having the conversation going on Twitch. But again, I'm hoping you guys enjoyed the stream anyway, and again, look forward to Sonic Racing Crossroads later on Tuesday anyway, when the time comes for that. At least it will be a different game I would be playing compared to Fortnite, but I'll still probably do one here and there, and maybe have my friends around, because that's the thing you guys should point out, should notice, like from the last one, is that I have some friends that can hop in, we can do some conversations, mess around a bit for a bit. English is hard for me. You can mess around, you can do some other game modes, because I'm starting off just doing basic battle royales at the moment, but I might venture on and do some other game modes of Fortnite. Like, I know later on, whenever the game drops it, the Simpsons reload map, with the Springfield map brought back the game, that's where I'll definitely play Fortnite on, and actually play Reload, because I generally don't like Reload, but for the sake of Springfield and having various characters now in Springfield since that Simpsons season came and went in November, I'll be willing to play Reload for that specific reason. So again, thank you all for watching. Stay tuned for Tuesday for the Sonic Racing Crossroads live stream. And I'll see whenever I'll do Fortnite next, or even other games in general. I got a lot I could pick from, but obviously have to pick which one I want to live stream, most importantly. So I'll keep you all posted. Again, if you follow me on Twitter, Blue Sky, YouTube, Threads, you'll get updates whenever I'll decide to do more with certain live streams and what to expect from them. So, until then, I shall see you guys until my next live stream. See you guys later.